On January 15, 1975, Walt Disney World guests were finally given their own thrill ride, which sent them zipping past planets and shooting through the cosmos. While this new innovative attraction was a mountain, it had much more technology behind it than the Matterhorn bobsleds located in Disneyland on the opposite coast. This is Dateline Disney, and today we will be covering the high-tech roller coaster that still holds up today, Space Mountain. To begin designing this new attraction known at first as Spaceport and then Space Voyage, WED would again be partnering with Aero Development Company, who assisted in designing the roller coaster systems for the Matterhorn before it opened in 1959. The Matterhorn was the first of its kind in a Disney park, and the success it found convinced Walt Disney that thrill rides had a place at Disneyland. The original idea was to have 4 separate tracks, but the space constraints at Disneyland and the absence of necessary technology made this impossible to fully realize. Moreover, just after the early planning stages of the attraction started to take off, Walt Disney's untimely death and the push for preparation of the Disney World that had only just been announced caused the Space Mountain project to be shelved until further notice. However, after the Walt Disney Resort and the Magic Kingdom Park finally opened to record numbers of guests and unexpected popularity among teens, Imagineers once again took a crack at Space Mountain. Since its initial conception, technology and computing had vastly improved. In addition, Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom would have the right amount of land needed to house the ride. Ultimately though, the decision was made to build the actual mountain just outside the park, opposite the Walt Disney World Railroad tracks that created its perimeter. The structure would be very large and become a landmark for the Magic Kingdom. But the design team did not want it to detract from the magnificence of Cinderella's castle, so it was to be built 15 feet lower than the rest of Tomorrowland. When the time came to fund the attraction, Disney turned to RCA. RCA had previously provided the Walt Disney World Resort with communications technology, and part of this contract noted that RCA would sponsor the construction of an attraction for $10 million if Disney was to present one of interest. Space Mountain opened to huge success and interest among guests, even being the first computer-controlled and fully indoor roller coaster. The coaster consisted of 2 separate tracks, mirroring and dueling each other throughout the duration of the ride. Many architectural innovations also went into Space Mountain, including the idea of placing the concrete supports outside of the mountain. This was done to give the inside of the building where the tracks would be housed smooth walls and surfaces to project the stars onto. Even today, this setup is still considered fairly creative and forward-thinking, hardly being used on conventional buildings. Knowing that Space Mountain could become a staple Disney Parks attraction, designers revisited the plan to build one in Disneyland, and the project was quickly greenlit. After being under construction for 2 years, a complex just costing under $20 million opened in May of 1977. It consisted of not only the attraction itself, but a space stage amphitheater, a Space Place restaurant, and the Starcade. Even so, there wasn't as much room in Disneyland, which meant the attraction ended up having only 1 track, and a much smaller mountain where the ride would be located. The Disneyland Space Mountain made up for this with new advancements in loading guests onto the ride, even loading and unloading guests every 30 seconds, having up to 12 rockets on the track at any given time. To make sure the rockets don't bump into each other, a cast member weighs each rocket before clearing it to begin its journey. As the years went on, 3 more Space Mountains opened, making one for each Disney park, until the eventual opening of Shanghai Disneyland this year, where Imagineers instead favored a Tron-themed attraction called Light Cycle Power Run. Thank you for watching Dateline Disney. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to stay updated. As always, leave us a comment down below on what you think we should cover next. It may just be featured in a future episode.